The brakes felt spongy yesterday. I found my death sentence under the truck. 6 a.m. crawling under my pickup with coffee steaming nearby in this lakeside mountain community. Oil-stained fingers traced the brake line and hit air. Clean slice through reinforced steel. Hydraulic fluid drips onto my face like blood. Metallic taste of terror flooding my mouth as I realize someone tried to murder me over parking violations. 3 months later, Karen Peton, former HOA queen, is sobbing on her knees in my driveway at 2 a.m. Designer yellow suit torn and muddy, broken fingernails bleeding as she desperately tapes together the $50,000 business contract she shredded. The woman who drove out 17 families is now begging me not to press charges. Please, I'll do anything. I didn't mean too late, Karen. See, while she was busy trying to kill me, I discovered her mansion sits 12 feet on my property. Her son recorded her confessing to attempted murder and her 8-year embezzlement scheme, all documented. Karen cut my brake lines to silence me. Instead, she just signed her own eviction notice. What would you do if your HOA president tried to murder you? Drop your wildest neighbor horror story below. Let me back up to the beginning. March 15th, moving day from hell. I'm Marcus Sullivan, 45, owner of Sullivan HVAC Solutions, and apparently the world's most optimistic divorced dad. Just survived a marriage that ended with lawyers circling like vultures, liquidated everything I owned, and bet my life savings on a fresh start in this upscale lakeside community nestled in the mountains. The house was perfect 3-bedroom ranch with a detached garage that smelled like motor oil and possibility. My 16-year-old daughter, Sophia, actually smiled when she saw her new room overlooking the pristine lake. First genuine happiness I'd witnessed since the custody battles began. I'm former Army Corps of Engineers. 12 years building bridges in places most people can't pronounce. Military training drills one thing into your skull. Document everything. Measure twice, cut once, and never trust authority without verification. That paranoid attention to detail would literally save my life in this scenic mountain paradise. This lakeside community looked like millionaire's paradise. 127 luxury homes where retirees with golf course lawns coexist with working families whose kids leave bicycles in driveways overlooking crystal-clear mountain lakes. HOA dues ran $180 monthly for landscaping and community standards. Seemed reasonable for a peaceful life in paradise. Day 3 after moving in, I'm unloading my work truck, a perfectly normal Ford F-250 with Sullivan HVAC on the doors when I hear the sound of impending doom. Click-clack, click-clack. High heels hitting concrete like a metronome counting down to disaster. Mr. Sullivan. Karen Peton materialized like a bureaucratic nightmare in her signature yellow business suit. Imagine a real estate agent who studied customer service at the Hitler Youth Summer Camp. Perfectly manicured everything. Designer BMW that probably cost more than my house down payment, and a clipboard welded to her right hand like Captain Hook's prosthetic. We need to discuss your property improvements. I'm surrounded by boxes labeled kitchen junk and Sophia's stuffed animals. What improvements? Ma'am, I moved in 72 hours ago. Haven't even found my coffee maker yet. Karen's smile could freeze antifreeze. Your commercial vehicle violates Section 12.3 of our covenants. Commercial vehicles are strictly prohibited in residential driveways. That night, fueled by gas station coffee and growing paranoia, I spread every HOA document across my kitchen table like a detective solving murders. Section 12.3 didn't exist. The covenant only went to Section 1.7, which covered garbage can colors. Here's where Karen showed her evil genius. She wasn't making random rules. She was testing my spine. Would I crumble like her previous victims, or fight back and give her an excuse to escalate? Week 2, a $75 fine materialized in my mailbox like a parking ticket from Satan himself. Week 3, legal action will be pursued immediately. Time to attend my first HOA meeting. The community center reeked of industrial disinfectant and shattered dreams. 12 people showed up from 127 homes. Karen ran that meeting like Stalin conducting a purge trial, dismissing my questions with the authority of someone who'd never been challenged. I've been doing this longer than you, Mr. Sullivan. Much longer. The threat in her voice made the room's fluorescent lights seem dimmer. After the meeting, I channeled my inner investigator. Public records, county databases, neighborhood gossip networks. The pattern emerged like blood stains under UV light. 17 families evacuated in 3 years. Always minorities, single parents, or anyone Karen deemed unfit for her perfect lakeside paradise. A Hispanic contractor whose English carried an accent. A single mom whose autistic son made noise during his backyard therapy sessions. An elderly black veteran whose disability pension couldn't maintain a country club lawn. Each family systematically destroyed through escalating harassment until they fled. Sitting in my workshop at 2 a.m., surrounded by the metallic smell of tools and the weight of realization, the truth hit me like a sledgehammer. I wasn't just the new neighbor. I was Karen Peton's next target. Game on, lady. Week 4 brought Karen's nuclear option, the surprise inspection blitz. I'm 40 miles away installing a commercial unit when my phone erupts like a terrorist attack. Dad, there's people crawling all over our house. Some witch with a clipboard is photographing everything. She's laughing while she writes stuff down. I broke every traffic law getting home. Tires screeching into my lakeside driveway where Karen stood with some poor city employee who looked like he'd rather be getting root canal surgery. Mr. Sullivan, routine compliance inspection. Karen's yellow-suited smile could have curdled fresh milk. This is Officer Bradley from Code Enforcement. Turns out Karen and Bradley are golf buddies. What are the odds? Their violation masterpieces included unauthorized structure my garden shed that appeared on the original 1987 property survey. Improper drainage. The natural slope existing since dinosaurs roamed the earth. Unapproved landscaping. Flower beds older than my daughter. Total extortion. $450. Time for counterattack. My army training screamed one thing. Document everything. Assume everyone's lying. Trust nobody completely. I installed 4 security cameras with night vision, every angle covered, audio recording, cloud backup. If Karen breathed wrong on my property, I'd have evidence. Then I researched her inspection. Took me 3 hours of digging through county ordinances to realize something beautiful. Karen had screwed up royally. You can't surprise inspect private property without 48-hour written notice, proper authorization, and legitimate probable cause. What she'd done was criminal trespass disguised as bureaucracy. Karen's response came swift and vicious. Total social warfare. The neighborhood Facebook group exploded overnight with anonymous posts about declining property values and aggressive newcomers disrupting community harmony. The Whisper campaign activated like Cold War espionage. Mrs. Henderson, who'd brought welcome cookies, suddenly developed acute blindness whenever I appeared. 3 neighbors stopped waving. But Karen made one beautiful mistake. She underestimated my allies. Walter Chin materialized at my door one evening, carrying a folder thick enough to stop bullets. 78 years old, Korean War veteran and Karen's longest surviving target. Son, she tried this identical stuff on my family in 1992. His weathered hands trembled with rage, not age. Karen's been running this con for 3 decades. Walter had survived because his son was a lawyer. He documented everything. Fraudulent violations, harassment patterns, financial irregularities. The evidence was damning and beautiful. Walter's records revealed Karen's genius. She never left fingerprints. Always worked through concerned neighbors and city officials she'd bought with golf games and political donations. But I had something Walter didn't. In 1992, modern technology and an engineer's obsession with numbers. As a homeowner, I had legal right to audit HOA finances. What I discovered made my calculator smoke from overuse. Karen had been embezzling our dues for years, funding her harassment campaigns with our own money. $1,200 landscaping enhancement. No visible improvements anywhere. Multiple consulting fees to companies existing only in Karen's imagination. Administrative expenses requiring $300 country club dinners because apparently harassment makes you hungry. 3 years of records revealed $23,000 in theft. The next HOA meeting felt like entering enemy territory. Same community center reeking of industrial disinfectant and broken dreams. But this time I brought nuclear weapons. Karen attempted her usual agenda control, but I stood during old business and detonated my bomb. I'd like to discuss $23,000 in unexplained HOA expenditures over 3 years. Silence. Complete, beautiful silence. Except for that squeaky ceiling fan and the sound of 12 homeowners realizing they'd been robbed. Karen's face cycled through surprise, rage, and calculation like a slot machine hitting jackpot. If you don't like our financial management, Mr. Sullivan, you can always move somewhere more suitable to your standards. Wrong answer, sweetheart. Actually, I'm not going anywhere, but you might want to lawyer up. A really, really good one. Karen's desperation unleashed her inner Photoshop psychopath. Week 6 brought fabricated evidence that would make dictators jealous. Monday morning, reviewing security footage with my first cup of coffee, I spot Karen creeping around my property at 3 a.m. like some suburban ninja in her yellow designer suit. Designer heels clicking on concrete, professional camera equipment, and what looked like a mobile counterfeiting operation running out of her BMW's backseat. By Tuesday, mysterious photos materialized in my mailbox showing violations that existed only in Karen's deranged imagination. Garden hose improperly stored when I had coiled it military perfect the night before. Trash cans blocking pedestrian access when they sat 3 feet from the curb. The shadows were wrong, the lighting impossible, and one photo included a McDonald's cup that definitely wasn't mine. But Karen wasn't done playing digital dictator. She'd researched my client list through public HVAC permits and launched her business assassination campaign. Wednesday morning, my phone rings with the sound of financial doom. Mr. Sullivan, Janet from Riverside Medical Center. We're canceling your maintenance contract immediately. My stomach dropped to my work boots. Why? We received reports you're under investigation for code violations and improper business practices. We can't risk association with unreliable contractors. 2 more calls that day. Same script, same devastation. 15 grand in revenue evaporated because Karen had weaponized my success against me. The taste of panic is metallic and bitter, like licking a car battery while your life crumbles. Time for professional paranoia. I hired Tommy Rodriguez, retired detective who'd spent 30 years catching people who thought they were clever. Cost $200 daily. But Tommy understood predators. Your neighbor's got serious issues, Tommy reported after 3 days of surveillance. Drinks alone every night after 7. Husband avoids home like it's radioactive. And she's been documenting everyone who visits your house. Tommy's intel revealed Rick Peton practically lived at his downtown office. Marriage problems, possible affairs, definitely escaping his psychotic wife. Karen was isolated, desperate, and escalating toward violence. But Tommy caught Karen's counterfeiting operation on film. Professional camera, laptop with editing software, her face clearly visible in that yellow suit, manufacturing evidence under street lights like some kind of suburban Breaking Bad episode. Week 8 brought Karen's masterpiece, attempted murder disguised as vehicle maintenance. Friday morning, loading tools for a client call. My truck felt wrong. Brakes spongy, steering loose, something fundamentally dangerous about a vehicle that had run perfectly for 8 years. The smell of hydraulic fluid hit my nose like a death warning. I canceled the job and spent 2 hours under my truck with a creeper and flashlight. What I found made my blood pressure spike to stroke levels. Brake lines severed with surgical precision. Not wear, not accident, deliberate sabotage with professional tools. Hydraulic fluid pooled on concrete like evidence of Karen's murderous intent. One emergency stop on the mountain highway, and I'd have been another traffic fatality statistic. Karen's arrogance created her own downfall. My main security cameras malfunctioned that exact night, too convenient for coincidence. But I'd installed a backup system she didn't know about, hidden in Walter's oak tree and activated by motion sensors. No footage of actual sabotage, but plenty of Karen's BMW lurking outside at 2 a.m. with someone inside timing their attack like a military operation. Next morning brought unexpected salvation. Daniel Peton, Karen's 19-year-old son, looking like he'd aged 5 years in 5 weeks. Mr. Sullivan, I need to talk privately. It's about my mom. Kid's hands shook like autumn leaves. Dark circles under his eyes, the body language of someone drowning in family secrets. She's completely lost it. Last night, she talked about permanently solving the Marcus Sullivan problem. I think she's planning to hurt you seriously. Daniel revealed Karen had been intercepting my mail, federal crime, copying business documents, and maintaining surveillance files on my family that included Sophia's school schedule and my client locations. This isn't HOA harassment anymore. It's stalking with murderous intent. That evening, I filed police reports for attempted murder, mail theft, business sabotage, and criminal stalking. Detective Sarah Wilson took everything seriously because I had evidence, video, photos, documentation, Witness testimony. Mr. Sullivan, this has moved beyond neighborhood disputes into felony territory. We're investigating attempted murder, federal mail crimes, and organized harassment. Document everything and call immediately if she escalates. Meanwhile, Walter organized neighborhood resistance meetings. 5 families shared similar horror stories, revealing Karen's 3-decade reign of terror funded by embezzled HOA money. The community was waking up, but Karen had one more card to play. Week 10 brought Karen's scorched earth business strategy. Insurance terrorism that would make where criminals take notes. I'm elbow deep in a hospital boiler room when my phone rings with the sound of financial death. Mr. Sullivan, Linda from Mutual Insurance. We're canceling your policy effective immediately. My wrench clanged to the floor like a funeral bell. Based on what? Multiple safety violations, customer complaints, and reports of negligent practices. We can't insure high-risk contractors. Karen had weaponized bureaucracy itself. Fake customer complaints, fabricated safety violations, forged incident reports, a masterpiece of administrative terrorism that threatened 15 years of business reputation. Simultaneously, she carpet-bombed my contractor licenses with bogus complaints to the state board. But Karen's arrogance birthed her biggest mistake yet. Wednesday night, while I'm watching Sophia star in our town play, my phone buzzes with Daniel's panicked text. She's in your workshop right now with bolt cutters and a camera. I tried stopping her, but she's completely psychotic. I stayed for Sophia's curtain call because she deserved that moment, but my hands shook through every standing ovation, knowing Karen was ransacking my business. Hidden cameras captured Karen's entire criminal masterpiece in gorgeous 4K resolution. Her face clearly visible in that yellow suit as she rifled through client contracts, photographed proprietary HVAC designs, and stuffed business insurance documents into a canvas bag like some kind of suburban cat burglar. Thursday morning, Detective Wilson examined my workshop with the glee of someone who loves catching stupid criminals. Breaking and entering, business sabotage, theft of proprietary information, insurance fraud. She's looking at federal charges. This footage is prosecutor porn. Friday brought Daniel's nuclear option. Crystal clear audio of mommy dearest confessing everything. His hands trembled as he played the recording, tears streaming down his 19-year-old face. Karen's wine-slurred voice filled my kitchen like poison gas. I cut his brake lines, destroyed his business contracts, stole everything I could find, and I'll do whatever necessary to eliminate him permanently. This neighborhood doesn't need his kind contaminating our property values. Daniel, why are you recording this? Because someone needs evidence when they find his body. The kid looked like he'd been carrying the weight of his mother's crimes for months. I can't let her murder innocent people. She's my mom, but she's become a monster who needs to be stopped. Weekend brought Walter's emergency HOA meeting. 47 homeowners packed the community center. The air buzzed with suppressed rage, finally finding voice after years of terrorized silence. I presented the evidence buffet, security footage, financial fraud documentation, criminal activity patterns, and Daniel's confession recording. When Karen's voice played through speakers admitting attempted murder, the room fell silent except for shocked gasps and angry murmuring. Motion to remove Karen from HOA board, 42-5. Only her most delusional allies supported keeping an attempted murderer in power. Karen tried controlling the meeting from the back row in her signature yellow suit, but her dictatorship had crumbled. When she stood to speak, 40-plus residents shouted her down with years of bottled fury. Shut up, Karen. We're done with your psychotic nonsense. Sometimes the universe delivers justice with a surveyor's measuring tape and absolutely perfect timing. Week 12. My attorney insisted on a professional property survey for legal defense. Standard procedure when dealing with harassment claims, he explained. I hired Precision Land Surveying 3 guys with equipment that cost more than my truck and treated property lines like religious scripture. Tuesday morning, lead surveyor Jake Martinez knocked on my door wearing the expression of someone who'd just discovered King Tut's tomb. Mr. Sullivan, we need to discuss our findings immediately. You're going to want whiskey for this conversation. Jake spread survey maps across my kitchen table like treasure charts. Red lines marked official property boundaries. Blue lines showed existing structures. Your neighbor's driveway extends 12 feet onto your property. Been there approximately 6 years based on satellite imagery analysis. 12 glorious feet of theft. Karen had stolen 12 feet of my land to build her designer driveway, complete with imported stone pavers and decorative lighting that probably cost more than most people's cars. County records show Mrs. Peton absolutely knew about boundary violations when she built this monstrosity. Previous owner Harold Peterson filed multiple complaints that were mysteriously withdrawn after she threatened him with legal action. Karen hadn't accidentally encroached. She'd deliberately stolen my property while terrorizing the previous owner into silence. Adverse possession requires 20-plus years in this state. 6 years means she's trespassing with improvements that legally belong to you. She must remove everything at her expense or compensate you fair market value. Karen's relocation costs would hit $35,000 minimum. Her property had no alternative access without massive excavation and utility reconstruction. I held Karen's entire future criminal prosecution, professional destruction, financial ruin, and public humiliation in a manila folder marked survey results. Karen had spent months trying to destroy me while sitting on evidence that would annihilate her completely. Game over. First call went to Patricia Chun, the best property attorney in the county and someone who'd built a career destroying HOA bullies. Mr. Sullivan, this is beautiful work. Property encroachment, professional misconduct, criminal fraud. It's like Christmas morning for property lawyers. We'll pursue treble damages, attorney fees, and punitive compensation. The legal fees would normally bankrupt the small business owner, but Patricia explained contingency arrangements. We get paid when you win, and with this evidence, we're going to win spectacularly. Karen's desperation reached biblical proportions when she realized her world was crumbling. Week 14 brought attempted bribery with the subtlety of a mob movie. I'm replacing an air handler at the community center when Karen appears in her yellow suit clutching a manila envelope thick enough to choke a horse. Mr. Sullivan, perhaps we can reach a reasonable settlement. Her voice carried the fake sweetness of artificial vanilla mixed with cyanide. 5,000 cash to forget this unfortunate misunderstanding. I was wearing a wire smaller than a postage stamp, recording every word, while Karen counted out crisp hundreds like some kind of suburban drug dealer. I understand property lines can be confusing. Mistakes happen. This covers any inconvenience you've experienced. What about the brake lines you cut, Karen? Her hand froze mid-count. I don't know what you mean. The business contracts you destroyed, the clients you contacted with lies about my company? Sometimes neighbors have disagreements. The important thing is moving forward constructively. Karen was admitting to property theft while simultaneously trying to buy my silence about attempted murder. But Karen's most destructive escalation was yet to come. Desperate to plant evidence, she attempted a second break into my workshop while I was installing equipment at the hospital. This time she brought bolt cutters, a digital camera, and what appeared to be illegal drugs. Unfortunately for Karen, my upgraded security system included motion-activated alarms connected directly to police dispatch. Officers arrived while she was literally inside my workshop with bolt cutters and a bag of what looked suspiciously like cocaine. Ma'am, put down the tools and step away from the filing cabinet. The arrest was captured in glorious high-definition video. Karen's face cycling through surprise, rage, and terror as handcuffs clicked around her wrists in that yellow suit she'd worn throughout her reign of terror. Karen Peton, you're under arrest for breaking and entering, possession of controlled substances with intent to distribute, and violation of restraining orders. Karen's final weeks of freedom resembled a psychological thriller. Week 16 brought her masterpiece of stupidity. Multiple false police reports filed with the dedication of someone applying for a PhD in self-destruction. Every morning brought new emergency calls. 911. What's your emergency? Marcus Sullivan is threatening me with a chainsaw in his driveway. Meanwhile, I'm 60 miles away installing commercial refrigeration units. Each false report required police response, investigation, and documentation. Each one created additional criminal charges. Detective Wilson's voice carried murderous exhaustion after the 7th bogus call. Mrs. Peton, filing false police reports is a felony. We have security footage proving your allegations are fabricated. But Karen's desperation had metastasized beyond rational thought. She began following Walter Chin's grandchildren to school, lurking in her BMW like some kind of suburban predator. Her witness intimidation campaign expanded to vandalizing cars belonging to petition signers. Scratched paint, slashed tires, broken mirrors, thousands of dollars in property damage captured in beautiful detail. She contacted Channel 7 News claiming to be a harassment victim, apparently forgetting that investigative reporter Jennifer Walsh had already researched Karen's criminal history. "I'm being persecuted by a violent neighbor who's trying to steal my property and destroy my family," Karen sobbed into news cameras with the authenticity of a community theater actress. Walsh's follow-up questions demolished Karen's narrative faster than a controlled building demolition. Week 17 brought Daniel's final break from family loyalty. Karen's son testified before the grand jury, providing prosecutors with insider knowledge of his mother's criminal planning. She keeps journals detailing her harassment campaigns. There are plans for escalating violence, including researching how to make attacks look accidental. She's completely lost touch with reality. The grand jury returned indictments on 23 separate criminal charges: attempted murder, witness tampering, insurance fraud, mail theft, property destruction, stalking, filing false police reports, and organized criminal activity. Karen's bond was set at $250,000, money she couldn't raise after legal fees consumed her liquid assets. The woman who'd terrorized families for decades was finally caged like the dangerous predator she'd always been. Week 18 delivered the courtroom showdown that would become neighborhood legend for the next 50 years. The preliminary hearing packed the county courthouse like a heavyweight championship fight. Local TV cameras lined the hallway because Channel 7's investigation had turned Karen into the poster child for HOA corruption. Karen shuffled in wearing an orange jumpsuit and handcuffs, her previous designer, yellow suit perfection, replaced by jail-issued humiliation. Judge Patricia Morrison called the packed courtroom to order with a gavel bang that silenced conversations instantly. The state of Colorado versus Karen Elizabeth Peton. 23 counts of felony charges, including attempted murder, organized criminal activity, and witness tampering. Prosecutor David Chun stood to present evidence with the enthusiasm of someone about to detonate a nuclear bomb. "Your Honor, this case represents systematic criminal enterprise disguised as neighborhood governance. The defendant used HOA authority to commit theft, harassment, fraud, and attempted murder over an 8-year period. The evidence presentation was devastating and methodical. Security footage showed Karen cutting brake lines with surgical precision. Audio recordings played her confession to multiple felonies while her son wept in the gallery. Financial forensics revealed $30,000 in embezzled funds. Property surveys displayed Karen's deliberate land theft spanning multiple properties. The mic drop moment came when Daniel took the witness stand to testify against his own mother. The courtroom fell silent except for Karen's muffled sobbing as her son chose justice over family loyalty. "Your Honor, my mother kept detailed journals documenting her harassment campaigns. She researched methods to make violence appear accidental. She genuinely planned to kill Marcus Sullivan and believed she was justified." Judge Morrison's ruling came swift and uncompromising. All criminal charges are bound over for trial. The defendant poses clear danger to community safety and has demonstrated complete disregard for legal authority. Bail is denied. The defendant will remain in custody pending trial. Outside the courthouse, media swarmed like locusts covering a natural disaster. I gave a brief statement while neighbors cheered, and Karen's victims finally felt safe speaking publicly. This case proves that bullies can't hide behind official authority forever. Karen Peton terrorized families for years, but justice finally arrived. 6 months later, justice delivered its final verdict with the satisfying finality of a perfectly tuned HVAC system clicking into place. Karen received 4 years in state prison plus $180,000 in restitution, every penny she'd stolen from HOA funds and property theft. Her lakeside mansion sold at auction to cover legal damages, with surplus funds distributed to her 17 previous victims. New owners immediately demolished her illegal driveway, restoring my property line with a beautiful privacy fence. Daniel enrolled at Colorado State studying criminal justice, funded by the scholarship I established. The kid who'd chosen moral courage over family loyalty deserved every opportunity to build a life dedicated to protecting others. This lakeside community transformed into the peaceful paradise it was always meant to be. New HOA leadership implemented radical transparency with monthly financial reports, open meetings, and democratic decision-making. Property values increased 12% due to improved community harmony overlooking the pristine mountain lake. My business thrived beyond expectations. Clients respected the integrity I demonstrated during the Karen crisis, leading to contract expansions and referral networks throughout the region. I hired 3 additional technicians and opened a second location. The golden rule I learned: bullies count on victims staying silent, but communities rally around those brave enough to fight back publicly. My YouTube channel, Fighting HOA Bullies, reached 500,000 subscribers, helping victims nationwide document harassment and pursue legal remedies. Speaking engagements took me across the country teaching communities how to recognize, document, and prosecute HOA abuse. State legislators consulted my testimony while drafting comprehensive HOA reform. Sophia and I grew closer through adversity. Our relationship strengthened by watching justice prevail over intimidation. She learned valuable lessons about standing up to bullies, documenting evidence, and building community support. Sunday morning coffee with Walter became tradition overlooking the mountain lake. The annual Unity Festival celebrates diversity and community cooperation featuring food trucks, live music, and educational booths about resident rights. Former Karen victims now serve as HOA board members, ensuring accountability prevents future tyranny. My back deck became the perfect spot for evening reflection, overlooking the fence that marked my restored property boundaries and the pristine lake beyond. The documentary Neighborhood Tyrant won a regional Emmy, bringing national attention to HOA reform while establishing legal precedent protecting residents from harassment. Karen's story became a textbook example of how unchecked authority corrupts, even in paradise. Drop a comment sharing your own HOA nightmare story. Let's build a community of people who refuse to be intimidated by petty tyrants. Hit subscribe for more David versus Goliath victories, where justice prevails and bullies face consequences. Remember your property, your rights, your community. Defend them all.